Dream team, another day of 100 push-ups, so let's get it.
Whoa. And so it's like, how can I increase that action threshold and get someone to just embrace the stuff? And so it's like, how can I normalize no's? So it's like, if I'm teaching somebody to sell, it's like, dude, I need you to get 100 no's. All right, just get 100 no's for me. Not go with yes, just get 100 no's. And the thing is, all of a sudden, if the no becomes the goal, then they realize that it's about the process.
All right, here we go.
And then they become better salespeople because they stop being afraid of it. The same thing, like for training a salesperson, I want them to hear the gas, right? Which is like, you say a price every time. Everyone's afraid of saying the price. It's like, dude, if you didn't get a gasp, you didn't go high enough.
Right.
And they're like, what? I'm like, oh, you failed. Terrible sale. They didn't gasp. Like, really? And so then it flips it and becomes a point of pride. It's like, oh my God, you should hear the gasp on this one. And so all of a sudden they stop being afraid. We normalize, we do like exposure therapy and things that people are most afraid of. And I don't think all the stuff that we do, that we can do that in a microwave for at least a handful of people. So they just start doing and realize that they're going to gain perspective, and the light of their knowledge will give them the next foot. But the thing is, they're stuck on the first one trying to pick the first path when they have no idea what they're doing.
Was selling ever hard for you? Like the idea of selling, not that I'm sure you were bad at it at one point, but was the idea of trying to convince somebody to buy something?
Yeah, so when I quit my job, my dad's buddy was in private wealth management in Merrill Lynch. And so he called me up and was like, hey, you should sell for me. And I, to this day, he jokes about it now with me. I said, oh, sales? I was like, I'm not a salesman. I was like, I'm an academic. You know what I mean? I just come from, on the millions, and I thought, whatever. And then lo and behold, I signed my lease, I slept on the floor, and I was like, how do I pay rent? And a woman walks in the door, and I was like, I need to get her to give me money so I can pay rent. And I was like, oh, this is sales. And I didn't know. So for me, it was just begging people to give me money in the beginning. Like, I promise I'm going to give you the best results ever. But the idea of sales was I thought it was beneath me. I thought it was scammy. I thought it was used car sale, just like the abhorrence. That'd be the right word. But and then through exposure, I realized that it was, and I ended up in life's irony, doing something that I've really fallen in love with.
There are people on the internet, I will let them remain nameless, that they give me the heebie-jeebies. Mm-hmm. I'm deeply uncomfortable with something in the way that they sell. And I've actually never taken the time to figure out what it is, and I probably should. I'd make a lot more money. But there are people that make me deeply uncomfortable. And then there's something about you. So I've never heard of you. Somebody pinged me and was like, yo, you need to check this guy out. And I looked at your stuff and I'm like, there's something about the way that you talk that is super matter of fact. It isn't the I have nothing to sell you, because you're an incredible salesperson. So even when I interface with the way that you sell, it doesn't creep me out. I've not thought about it enough to know why, but I bet you have. What is it that makes a salesperson creepy, and why aren't you creepy?
Why aren't you creepy? The best interview question I've ever had. So I think a lot about this because I'm outlining the next book, so the next book is Leads, and I've already done the draft, and you know how that is, where I'm like, I'm not done that book, but like, I can't wait for the next book. And so I'm thinking through, like, what is it that sales is overall, right? It's structuring a conversation to increase the likelihood of customers on the other side gives you money. That's what it is. It's structuring that conversation that way.
And structuring that conversation. I heard you mention something that you call it. I'm so vaguely aware of like proper sales. You said holding the frame.
Oh yeah.
Like it's not about the words you say, it's how you say them and whether you can hold the frame. Yeah. Is that what you mean by structure of the call?
All of it. Yes. I mean,
so what is the structure? What is holding the frame? Like, what does that mean?
So I love sales. So when two people interact in general, no matter what, man, woman, child, whatever, two frames collide, and I believe it's animalistic, whatever it is. There's a decision of who's alpha. Now, the alpha is also contextual, and so you can be alpha in, like, the president of the United States is alpha everywhere until he goes into a doctor's office, he tells him to pull his ass, and he sticks his finger out, right? Frame, right? In that room, doctor is king, right? He's the alpha in that setting, in that context. And so the ability to hold the frame for most salespeople is really having a clear agenda and controlling the conversation, which is, why are we here, right? Because a lot of sales is clear communication. Because if you clearly communicate, because the biggest advantage that a salesman has is that the person has already said they have a problem most times, right? So if someone responds to a content piece and says, hey, can you help me? They've already enunciated they have an issue. They have a problem. And so you already have the inherent advantage of the frame, which is, you said you needed help, I'm here. How can I help you, right? And so it starts with that. right? It's being clear about why we're here. And then we get agreement that we understood the problem that they said they had next. And then from that point, we have to turn the desire into a decision, which is, okay, you say you want these things. Here's the frame that I want to give you to analyze the decision. Can we agree to this frame, right? And so, for example, if I were selling marketing services and whatever we rework a sales script with any of the portfolio companies, which is one of the things that we do to make them grow, a lot of times they have all this gobbledygook, right? And so I like the shortest possible scripts you can, because a lot of communication is wasted, right? So what happens a lot of times on a sales call is they say hello, build rapport, talk for 30 minutes, see that there's time that's running out, and then realize they have to pitch, right? And so then they motor mouth and then just awkwardly ask, right? And it is, to your point about it seeming icky, right, or sucking, is that it's not normal human communication, and you're not providing value to the other person. And so if giving clarity to someone on the decision is tremendous value. And so if you can sell in a way that clarifies the decision, my objective always, when I teach sales, the goal is not to get the person to buy. The goal is to get the person to decide. And I believe that people don't decide for only 3 reasons. And this comes from Albert Ellis, this is not me. But people blame all the woes of their lives on circumstances, other people, and then ultimately themselves. And so when we're overcoming obstacles in a sale, we have to make sure that we are accounting for the circumstances, which is taking away time as a reason they can't do it, taking away money as a reason they can't do it, taking away particular aspects of the product as the reason they can't do it. We have to make sure that they don't cast their power to other people and saying, I can't make this decision, someone else has to make it. And then finally, when they're with themselves, they want to avoid the decision. They want to delay it, they want to not make it, I'm not going to think about it, right? And so the idea is that I believe that if you sell properly, you can talk to an empowered person, and you have to basically sift through the crap that they're telling themselves about why they can't decide, why they have to talk to their husband, why the circumstance of their situation matter. And so I think that if you can do that and communicate that in conversation, you have made someone feel powerful, and you've given them the tools to make a decision. And then in making that decision, they take a step towards the life they want. And so if you can structure a conversation that way, it's not icky, it's value additive, and then ultimately you do make more money, but you're not focused on that because you're focused on helping them make the call. And if you can do that, you can sell it more. And I think that's what I try and structure, and that's why I'm so excited for the sales book when it finally comes out. But most of it's clear communication. When I listen to sales calls, because I still kind of do it because I like it, it's like therapeutic, you know what I mean? There's so much waste. People aren't direct. It's like, why are we here? And someone's like, I just want to get more information. That's an obstacle. No, you didn't. You're not here because you want more information. You're here because you're suffering from a problem. You don't just hop on sales calls all day to get information. No, you're trying to solve something, right? What are you trying to solve? What are you in pain from? Got it. So let me make sure I understand this. Label the problem, right? So it's like a lot of people just don't know how to talk, and they just make face noise at each other, and no one's listening and no one's talking. They ping pong back and forth. No one actually is listening. Yeah, they're not communicating at all, right? They say a statement. I mean, someone says, I literally just reviewed a sales call yesterday. The guy says, I'm not sure now's a good time. The salesman then responds with, well, you know, I'm not sure if you're a good fit, if you're not sure, because, and just goes off on this weird tangent, and then there's a pause, and the guy just asks another question. No communication happened. It was like, I have a question, you just said a bunch of words, and I guess it's normal for me to say something else now. And so then he just asked another question, right? And so it's clear, like, and then normally when you overcome these, sorry, I can talk about this forever, but like when you overcome these obstacles with somebody's like, I don't have time, right? I'll just give you a simple one, because this is for everybody who's listening. Because right now you're probably not doing something because you're like, I'm too busy. I'll start when it's convenient, whatever. If you say that as the excuse for not doing something, then there's an assumption underlying that says that if I get busy again in the future, I will stop. And so, do you want the success that you want to be long-term? Yes. Then do you believe that you'll never be busy again for the rest of your life? No. So then you might as well start when you're busy so that you have the most support. Because if you learn how to do it when you're busy, when it gets quiet, you'll succeed even more. And when it gets busy again, you know how to do it because that's how you started. Right? Obstacle overcome. And then, one step closer to making a decision. And so what happens is, even in the obstacle process, when people are trying to sell stuff, people start from the outside in. So it's so easy to say, I don't have time. It's the easiest thing to say, I don't have time, I don't have money, right? And then once you show them how that's a fallacy, it's a logical fallacy, it's a distortion of reality. You peel that back.
All right. Dream team, I do it for you. I do it for me. I do it for we, the people. Let's go.